Mike Martinez
has joined the meeting.
A little louder, please.
Sorry, I think somebody was joining the meeting. So thank you for noting that we talked about this prior to the meeting today. And the Human Resources team has been interviewing your comments. We'll bring something back to the commission for recommendation and approval in the future.
Okay, thank you.
But Commissioner Gutierrez, just make sure I'm understanding when these meetings come back and ask for approval, are you requesting the minutes reflect your
discussion? Could they do so? Thank you.
So we will work to amend that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so the minutes have been, the approval of the minutes has been tabled, and we'll move to the next topic, reports of disciplinary action.
So thank you. Other reports of disciplinary action for section A, reduction in salary. We don't have any at this time. C, dismissal. There are none. D, demotion. There are also none. Oh, I'm reading the minutes. I'm sorry. I took them away now. I apologize for that. Whoever says it seemed right as I'm reading this, I might apologize. Okay, reports of disciplinary action corrected. Section A, reduction in salary. We have 3 submitted to the commission. R06110 for the sheriff with no appeal. RP1003 sheriff, no appeal. R06110 behavioral health services with an appeal to arbitration. Subsection B, dismissal. There are 4. RP3003 reminder to the commissioners who have not already participated, that they need to participate in ethics training under AB 1234.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And moving on to old business.
Under old business, we have nothing.
And new business.
New business, subsection A, amendment of class specifications, we have none. Under subsection B, adoption of class specifications, we have one. Classification project number 19-032, healthcare services, public health services, and the request before the commission tonight is to adopt the class specification for social worker supervisor and to amend the class specification for social worker and senior social worker. And we have our classification analyst, Amy Brimmer, here. She's going to come up and present this item. And I'll pause while Amy gets started. Is there anybody on the call that you have identified or that I'll identify?
At this time, there's one user that we would like to identify with the phone number beginning with area code 209 and 986. If you could identify yourself, that would, thank you.
It's Bruce Cosby from Public Health.
Thank you.
Ms. Brimmer?
Thank you. Good evening, Commissioners. On behalf of San Joaquin County Human Resources, I am Classification and Compensation Analyst, Amy Brimmer. The item before you request that the Commission adopts HR's recommendation to establish a new classification of social worker supervisor and amend the existing classes of social worker and senior social worker. The Human Services Agency, HSA, employs the bulk of social workers in the county. These employees fill positions and classifications written for specific use at HSA. However, they are being increasingly used, and the desire is to increasingly use social workers in other county departments. We have public health, we have probation, mental health services. Those departments are increasingly using a social worker classification. So we would like to amend and update the social worker classification, senior social worker. Those already exist within our series. And then we would like to add in a supervisor, which is a bachelor level supervisor that specifically public health services could use immediately. Upon initiating the creation of the social worker supervisor, HR in partnership with public health, as well as the probation department, reviewed the two other levels in the series, social worker and senior social worker, and edits to those classes were made as well. In summary, the new class was created from a template of social worker supervisor used in Human Services Agency, and we just simply removed the language that was specific to HSA. It says perform staff oversight and direction, very integral in the programming, coordination, and overall success of the social services group to its assigned. Social worker and senior social worker amendments essentially clean up the existing class specifications by standardizing language between each other as well as among other county classes. For example, senior social worker did not have the driver's license requirement, but social worker did. Driving is required of all social workers, so we added that in to senior level, and social worker had not yet been updated to include the county's standard physical and mental requirements, so this section was added to that level. All three proposed class specifications are included in the agenda packet for your review. Ahead of placing this item on the agenda, the class specifications were provided to the department head and the appropriate union, in this case it's SEIU, and all were given an opportunity to provide feedback prior to placing this project on the agenda. Okay. Following your approval, HR will begin to meet and confer with SEIU to establish confirm the bargaining unit designation and then establish setting salary for the supervisor level. That concludes my piece here. Unless you have questions for me, I'll turn this back over to the secretary who can entertain anybody who would like to speak.
I again would, I'm concerned about the physical and mental requirements that are placed in there on the, position,
Okay.
you know. Okay. Yeah, I want that to be.
It's nothing. Anything else?
Well, we're being asked to approve this recommendation, approving these to be, today, is that my understanding?
Correct. So the recommendation to the commission is to adopt the class specification for social worker supervisor, and then to amend the class specification for social worker and senior social worker as outlined in the staff report.
I have a question, if while you're reading it, looks like it, this is not a concern, it's simply a clarifying question. Actually, before I say that, I really appreciate your explanation, in the beginning, because that helps fill in holes for me, so thank you for that. I'm just wanting to be sure I'm reading this right. So, the supervisor that is gonna, the new one, is proposed, is gonna require only a bachelor's level with, a BS, or BA, sorry, a bachelor. That person will only supervise other bachelor level people, and then the master's level person will supervise masters and below. Am I reading that right?
That is correct. In the Human Services Agency series, there is where the master's level will oversee those. Here we don't necessarily have that need. However, if for some reason we do end up with a social worker in this series that happens to have a master level, it's not because it was a minimum requirement, it's just that they personally possess that level of education. And so it could potentially be that a supervisor overseeing them would only have the bachelor degree.
That's exactly my question, because it didn't actually make sense to me if that was being made, but it was not a concern. I just wanted it to make sense. So thank you, I appreciate it.
Sure, and I think I omitted that initially, that the social worker and senior social worker that already exists, those two are bachelor level as far as the minimum requirement.
Understood.
Anything in addition to that, like that.
Any other comments, we need a little more time?
I would say that I would have a problem with voting to approve this as the minimum physical requirement, because they're standing that way. I think, that some of those raise some legal, problems in the future.
Commissioner DeCarlo,
Yes.
I think I understand your concern, and that this is very specific, has very specific physical and mental requirements. And as we talked
had to wear a hearing aid or couldn't stand. And I think, it would be a barrier, for people to apply. And that's what I'm concerned about.
And we appreciate and understand your concerns and would like some time to address that.
So in regard to the physical and mental requirements, that's something that we've seen more often, and actually working in concert with employers becoming more familiar with the ADA, being able to work with folks. And so they're added in to job descriptions, at least in the public sector, across the board over the last decade or so. It has become very standard. And it's actually intended to work in concert with folks who may have disability, so that it's there and solidified. And so as Hopkins mentioned, that we can then work with folks, because I believe on the job announcement, as we mentioned in June, it's coupled with, under the ADA, or if anyone would require accommodation, then that would take place. So the intent of having it in here is actually to address those in a positive manner, not to preclude folks from qualifying, but actually to have it solidified there so that we can go through a process of accommodating.
I still have a problem with it. Do we know when we're going to be able to address that? Do we have any timeline on that? Or?
We will bring an update to the commission at next month's meeting.
Okay, yeah.
So do we want to table this right now? I'm not sure where we're going with this.
It's presented to the commission tonight, and that our council is here. Would be my understanding that that would be the commission's choice, or you could choose to vote on it tonight.
Okay, and then I'm a little confused about quorum because we didn't have enough quorum for minutes, so we wouldn't have enough.
So it's my
Is it just three
understanding,
quorum?
3 is a quorum, but I don't think all 3 of these commissioners were here for both of those particular minutes.
They were not, right.
That's the difference.
Okay, thank you. Okay, in that case, I think we can move forward with the vote, and then depending on the outcome of the vote, we'll,
Does I'm sorry, a vote would require an affirmative of 3 of us?
No, you're talking about a quorum, you have a quorum, so it's the majority of the quorum, but first you have to have a motion.
exactly.
Staff does not make a motion, so you've been given an agenda item with a request from staff to approve it. Now what's the pleasure of the board? You can have somebody move to approve it, you can have somebody move to table it to the next meeting.
Okay, thank you for that. So I'll entertain, a motion.
Yeah, I would move that we table it till the next meeting, and we can further discuss, these issues that I've raised regarding. Would that be all right? Is this?
That's the commission, Mr. Gutierrez, not the board.
No, okay.
Do I have a second?
For
table.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor of tabling it, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. And we will move forward. Okay, thank you. We will move to the next one.
So our next is under subsection C, classification study. We have one item tonight, classification project number 19-003 from the Department of Probation. And this is, the staff recommendation is to maintain one position of accountant 3. Specifically, this is related to position number 00017422. Ms. Bremer will also be presenting the item to the commission tonight.
So this classification project generated in from the 2019 request whether the position was appropriately classified due to the level of complexity of work associated with the position. The study was conducted in accordance with standard classification practices and completed by myself. The complete study report is included in your agenda packet. To begin the classification study, the incumbent completed a position description questionnaire, which described the duties and responsibilities of the job. Subsequently, job audit reviews were conducted with the incumbent as well as immediate and executive level supervisors. Following the interviews, the information provided was analyzed and researched to determine if the preponderant duties of the position were different than those provided for in the Accountant 3 classification. Since the department had proposed accounting manager as more appropriate, this class was referenced and given consideration during the study, along with Management Analyst 3, which is the next level in that work unit. Based on the information obtained and gathered during the study, Human Resources found that the duties performed by the incumbent are within the level and scope of Accountant 3. Accountant Manager was ruled out early on because the distinguishing characteristic of that level is staff management or supervision and broad fiscal oversight, which was not present in the study position, but rather held at the next level, which was that Management Analyst 3. It would be a disservice to the study not to consider other factors of work, however, particularly the potential for level of complexity and or administrative oversight or programmatic oversight. So we did continue into the study and look at that. The study incumbent has contributed to providing a thorough and very stable working knowledge of probation's fiscal operations over time and contributes the highest level of professional accounting work of that work unit. This includes design of accounting systems and the full scope of budget preparation and monitoring. However, when we considered the administrative oversight, the position did not demonstrate that it crosses into the realm of administrative decision-making or program management duties. So even in the often frequent absence of a fully functioning Management Analyst 3 or higher staff, in times when they were either maybe a position was vacant or you have new staff that are on a learning curve type thing, even taking those types into consideration, the incumbent was not tasked with assuming the full role of supervision over staff or the administrative decision-making again, or serving as a proxy member to their administrative management or executive unit of that department. So those were some of the key pieces. That we looked at. Of course, you have the full detailed report, and so if you have any questions within that, I'm definitely happy to entertain those. We are recommending that the Civil Service Commission maintain the Accountant 3 position in probation. And per standard procedure, the study recommendations were provided to the department head, the chief probation officer, the incumbent, and the appropriate union, which again in this case is SEIU, and all were given an opportunity to provide feedback prior to placing this on the agenda. So, and we may actually have people who want to speak on behalf of this item. I don't want to overlook that either, but if you have questions for me, I'm happy to entertain them.
This is Commissioner Gutierrez. I think you did a great study here, and pretty much in agreement with the findings and recommendations. The only problem I still have is the minimum qualifications regarding physical and mental that are at the end back.
Let me check the printout of it, because it could simply have been cut off. I know it comes at the very end in my copy. I left that page on the printer.
Mine doesn't.
Nope, you're correct.
Yeah, is there a reason for that? I mean,
It's likely that it hadn't been updated or amended, to add that piece in.
okay, so you would intend to have it, is that right?
So, Commissioner Gutierrez, I think when you look at the narrative and 103, I think our mics compete with each other, so I apologize. It appears that it was, last amended in 1987. So I think for us to understand why it wasn't included at that time might be beyond the scope of the majority of us in this room. For the purposes of tonight, again, we understand and appreciate your concerns, and we'll come back next month. This particular recommendation is about maintaining the position of accountant 3. It's not about amending the job spec, which was previously approved by the commission. So one of the things that you've asked us to do, and we'll come forward with recommendations, and it would change every single job specification we currently have. So that's something we'll be able to talk about next month.
Okay. Well, could we table this until the next month also, after that discussion? I mean,
So I wouldn't be in favor of tabling it just because my understanding from this office is that next month they're going to address your concern, and whatever solution is resolved will apply in a blanket way to all of these things. So this is different. It's not really, we're not really approving a duty statement here. So my purpose would be to move forward.
okay, with that understanding, then I'll go ahead with that. I would move that we approve the recommendation.
I'll second that. Do we want to ask for questions from the phone? Questions or discussion from anyone on the phone?
Do we know if the department is present and would like to make any comments? You would be looking for Mike Martinez or Kelly. I'm not quite sure I pronounced Kelly's last name.
Villapando? Both are present in the meeting currently.
So if the department is on the line and would like to make any comments, please unmute yourself. Trying new technology here.
Hey, Brandy, it's Steve. Good afternoon, Commission. It's Chief Jackson, probation. We don't have any comment about the recommendation from Human Resources.
Okay, thank you, Chief. Edith,
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion that's been seconded to make the position of accountant 3 as recommended. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. The motion passed.
Thank you.
Moving on, staff reports.
Subsection D, staff reports, there are none.
And then subsection E, request for appeal hearing.
So, E1, rule 3 classifications, none. E2, rule 18, dismissal, suspension, demotion, or reduction in pay, there are none. E3, rule 19, violation of rules, request for appeal, none. And E4, rule 20, discrimination, request for appeal, none. Subsection F, other requests, there are also none for the commission to hear tonight. Okay, thank you.
require any action from the commission?
Yes.
Do we need a motion to accept the request for a field day?
Correct.
Do I have a motion for that? Motion.
I'll second.
And seconded, vote, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no? The motion passed.
Thank you. We have now moved on to public comment. Public comment is a little bit different tonight. We are taking public comment via email at sjccpubliccomment@sjgov.org. I will ask Ms. Strange, do we have any public comment for tonight?
There is no public comment.
Thank you. Our next section is future meeting dates. So our next Civil Service Commission is set for September 9th here at the Administration Building at 44 North San Joaquin Street, room 146. We do anticipate that the same COVID protocols will be in place, as we will provide that same information to the public and anybody who wishes to participate in the commission meeting. Our additional commission meeting dates for 2020 are October 14th, November 11th, December 9th. And I would like to remind the commission that we did discuss that November 11th is a holiday, so the commission may at some point want to move to change that date. We do not have any appeal hearings for tonight before the commission. And then our final item is a closed session item. Under California Government Code Section 54957, consideration of the business for duties of the sheriff's department.
Can I ask a question, Commissioner Gutierrez, on the date, on November 11th, it's a holiday, is that correct?
Should be Veterans Day, in my recollection.
So, the commission should try to, appoint a different date if we want it, if we think that that's appropriate, is that what I heard you say?
The commission can entertain another date, or we can wait until we're closer to see if there are items
Sure.
for that month or not,
Okay, good.
and then you can make a decision at that time.
I'm sorry, thank you.
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So, again, a little protocol guidance,
I'm going to look to our council to make
Okay.
sure that we cite closed session correctly. Is there anything specific that we need to cite prior to moving to closed session?
It's a personnel issue that is subject to confidentiality. I think Ms. Strange has the documentation for the commissioners to review and discuss, and I'll remain closed session with them, answer questions and give some guidance.
So we will move to closed session at 6:05 p.m. We do not expect to report out, but we will adjourn to close the meeting at that time.
Please stand by. We are finishing up some technical side of things to get back online here. All you.
Thank you. The Civil Service Commission is back in session. We have nothing to report, and we have no further business, so therefore we are adjourned.